Hello. Welcome. Let me take just a quick moment here to check that this is working right. Make sure I'm actually live. And we've got audio. Okay. Excellent. Hello. So, welcome. If you are going to come hang out with me today, welcome. I am happy to be here with you. I am Katzer. I'm going to get comfortable because we're going to be working here a while. So yeah, I'm Katzer. I have been crocheting life-size Pokemon for a few years now. There's definitely some of that on the channel if you want to see a backlog, if you want to see some of the games I've made with these creations. It's all here for the most part, or on any of my social media. Yeah, so I think the reason why most people are here right now, I've been getting a lot of eyes on me, a lot of attention this past week, all about Wailmer. So that's what we're working on today. This is some of our Wailmer. This is the like the 3 balls in large cover piece. And I am still working on that. I'm going to have at least the 4th ball done by today. But that still takes a little bit of counting. So we can talk a bit. We can talk a bit today about I guess, like the process of how I make things. But I do still have to count a bit while I'm working on that big piece. Whereas these smaller pieces are going to be part of his fins. And I don't need to count at all. We're just going to keep on crocheting as we go. So, got a couple people showing up now. Hi, no name. nice to see you here. And yeah, I'm gonna get to work as I continue chatting at you. So I guess a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to be on stream just crocheting like this for probably a couple hours. I'm aiming for at least 2 hours here. We'll see how we're feeling after that. If you look around the screen, you can see we do a bit of a fundraiser going on. So, as always is ever the case, I never want people to give what they don't have. It's tough times for everybody. But if you like what you're seeing, if you want to support the project, I have started this fundraiser for the other half of the yarn I'm going to need. So, of course, we are working with the blue right now. And that's about half. So, I don't have the white yarn yet. I've got a good idea of what I want to use. It's the Bernat Blanket Extra is what it's called, if any yarn people are going to be listening here, which is a slightly thicker yarn than this. And I just feel like the color is good and the texture difference is I think going to be interesting to see a little bit of a difference between each side. So that's what I want to go with. But I don't have it yet. And I don't have an amazing source of getting it. Hi, hello, people. We've got, yes, hopefully, we'll see, Alex, if Wailmer can be done. Well, by the time the whole project is done, it'll be massive. We'll see how massive we can get it by the end of stream, though. Wailmer is coming along. So right now, I'll show a little bit more of this progress, probably in a post tomorrow. But we've got this one really big piece that I've had in a couple of my shorts so far. And then I've got, sorry if you can't hear me as well when I'm leaning away. I'll try and be mindful. This is going to be like one of the fingers of his flippers, basically, because there's like 4, I don't know. If there's a marine biologist, you can correct me, but I'm going to call them fingers. It's one of the 4 fingers. And so what we're working on right now is going to be more of the fingers. So I've got a full one, I've got most of one, and then I just started up this next one because this section, like the very bottom section where it's curved, is another part where I need to count as I'm crocheting. And it's harder for me to talk while I'm counting in my head, but once I've gotten to this point onwards, no more counting. So I prepped this in advance so I'd have more to work on today. So yes, Deanna, I will be putting a beach ball inside. That is my solution for how to not need a ridiculous amount of stuffing. And this is a system that my partner and I worked out, gosh, maybe a year or so ago. So it all goes back to Spiel. We're going to dive into some story time here, folks. So I first crocheted a life-size Spiel. I don't even remember, like 2 years ago, I think. And my partner, you will hear me talk about him fairly often. You'll see him collaborating with me fairly often. He is Captain Steel, is how you'll recognize him. That's what I'll be calling him. Captain Steel is all of his social media. He's got an account here on or on YouTube if you want to see some like make it real engineering kind of videos. He's working on, actually got a Monster Hunter prop coming out tomorrow. A whole video that he built on that. So anyways, neat dude, engineer, and loves to over-engineer things, I suppose. So I wanted to make a life-size Spiel, and he wanted to make it actually roll, which was really cool. So he like 3D printed this whole framework, and there was I don't know, like an articulated arm or something. So there was a weighted arm on a motor, and it could tilt via like a remote so that you could have Spiel roll remotely. It was really cool. It was a little bit tricky. Like it worked really well for a bit, and then the motors kept burning out because the weights were too heavy. So it was a bit of a finicky system, but it was a cool system, and we got some really cool like video of it and stuff. But then we had this Spiel that everybody wanted to like squish and jump on, and it had a bunch of metal inside it and it was very rigid, so it was hard to store. And I don't even remember which one of us thought of it, but at some point somebody had the idea that it didn't have to be that inside. It could be anything that we put inside, because it was just a zipper that you could open. And originally that was important so we could like change batteries and things like that, but then it just became useful for interchanging things. And we put a yoga ball inside Spiel. And that, I would say, revolutionized what Katzer's Creations does. Yeah, until someone kicks metal, like so many people would see this Spiel and be like, oh my gosh, can I like jump on it? And say, no, no, you absolutely can't. Except now you totally can. And that's, it's been a lot of fun. I've used that Spiel as like a seat, just like a chair at events where I was not given a chair and I wanted to sit. And we did a whole bowling minigame made out of this yoga ball version of Spiel. And then, yeah, from there it was like, okay, cool. So this like inflatable system works pretty well. So we got some smaller yoga balls, and I did make a smaller version of Spiel, but I would also like to use that 50 centimeter size ball to make a Voltorb, to make, I feel like there were a couple spheres. Oh, a Jigglypuff. There's options, just working within the sphere category. And it's also a beach ball that I used in my Wooloo that I was posting about not long ago. And that was helpful because we took that Wooloo to actual Scotland, whereas I'm from Canada. So it was a long flight. It was like luggage that we had to bring, and I wanted to get Wooloo there so bad, but obviously it's a bit of a bigger one. So being able to just pack a beach ball made it possible to get Wooloo there. So it was really cool. And so now that I've got this whole system in place of... Oh, wait, hang on. Everybody pause. I've actually been timing... I've got a timer going on my phone for how long I've been working on Wailmer, because I know for a fact that when I finish and I bring it to conventions and things, people are going to be like, wow, how long did that take? And then if I do this, I'll have an answer. So this is... I had forgotten to start it. I've started it now. We're 15 hours in so far. Right, so now once I was in like this process of using inflatables, I think it might have been when we were looking for yoga balls for a different Pokemon maybe, and Captain Steel was online and he was like, I just found something. I was like, oh, okay. He found 6-foot beach ball. And he was like, I think you need to get this. And I think you need to make a Pokemon that big. And I was like, oh gosh, I mean, that is actually, that is the size of Wailmer. Like, as soon as he showed it to me, I was like, I know exactly what to use that for. And then, like, next thing, he sends me a message and he's like, I ordered it. You have to do it. So that's how we got here today. Yeah. So about 15 hours in, each ball of yarn, I've used a little bit of this, but that's like roughly the size we're dealing with, is about 300 grams, 200 meters, and takes me about 3 hours to use. Like, just at the kind of the pace I work and the size of hook and everything, it takes about 3 hours. So that's where we've gotten, 15 hours means we're about 5 balls in, which is 3.5 on that main thing, 1 per finger. So anybody who's counting, in that 26, it's, I don't know, there's people doing math in my comment sections now, and they don't think I'm gonna make it. I think I am. I did my own math before I started. I did. And I also did buy every single ball of this color that I could find at the time. Yeah, but we'll see. I think it's gonna work out, and I think I can fudge it a little bit. Like, if the blue half is not quite half, I can compensate that with just like a little bit more white, because the white yarn I've chosen is very commercially available in tons of places, so I can get as much of that as I need. Yeah, so here we are, and like, to answer your question, KB, what gets me into crocheting in general? People always ask these types of questions, and it makes me wish I had a better memory for this kind of stuff. I was one of the people who learned to crochet over the pandemic, more or less. I learned to knit as a young kid, and I've always liked fiber crafts and yarn, and I really wanted to learn to crochet. And I remember a friend got me one of those like learn to crochet kits from, I think, Michael's, maybe in like 2016, 2015, and I tried to learn, and it was so hard. And I didn't really get very far with it. Like, I learned a little bit, but I did really struggle with that kit. And the funny thing is that now that I'm very confident at crocheting, and I went back at one point to be like, oh, well, I should just make that. Like, I've got it laying around. It was a cute little owl design. I was like, I should really just make that. And it was such a terrible pattern. Like, now that I understand crochet patterns and how to read them, and it was still confusing as heck trying to decipher that specific one. So nothing but sympathy to young Katzer who was trying to learn from that monstrosity of a pattern. But yeah, so it was always on my mind, and then I picked it back up. I got another kit, I think like for Christmas 2020, and stuck with it. That was a much better kit. I, did what I needed to do to find extra instructions and stuff online for anything that was confusing to me, and went from there. Now, to give a bit more backstory, deeper lore, Katzer in 2020 owned a pet sitting company. That was my job back in the day. I was in pet care, and people were home with their pets once there was a lockdown. So, it was like most companies, it was tough times, and it gave us the space for my business partner and I to reflect, and we decided we didn't really want to stick with that company anymore. So we did dissolve the dog walking company. And then I had to figure out what comes next. And I mean, at the time, it was also like, keep busy and see if you can, build something while we're all at home anyways, and then figure out the real next steps when it was more relevant. And so I, like many people, I started playing around with social media, and I tried maybe like blogging a little bit. But Captain Steel was getting like making some connections with a YouTube company nearby. And he was working with them, and it got me interested in the whole YouTubing scene. And so, yeah, I was like, well, maybe I can do a content creation thing. Like, what do I know how to do? And at first it was like sewing and other types of crafting. And then I wasn't taking it too seriously, just kind of posting here and there whatever I felt like making. And then I got gifted some Pokemon cards for, what was it? Must have been Christmas 2021. And I just happened to pull in those packs some of the crochet cards, which I have on my wall here. So, like, that one. It was Trapinch, Muna, Metapod. I had 4 of them to start. Maybe a Zoorill. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Trapinch was probably the very first Pokemon I ever crocheted. It was just a little guy. I was trying to model the cards. That was like my inspiration, was I'll just try and recreate these cards by Asaka Ito. That's the artist who makes this like whole set. And I do have the full set of almost everything she's made at this point. I think there's 1 or 2 from the new set I'm missing. Yeah, so that got me started crocheting Pokemon. And it went from there. And yes, we have gotten bigger and bigger. So I don't know if I'm ever going to go for Zygarde or Miraidon. Never say never. You know, got to keep busy. But it started out small, and I was making some of them like that. And it was mostly working off the trading cards at first. And then I started to get more... I started following some people like Miscellaneous Mao. If you've not heard of her, if you haven't seen her work, please go check it out. I can share like a little link to some of her work in my stories on Instagram. But she works with confections and makes the most just incredible, like, I think they're often truffles, maybe is what you would call them, or like sometimes it's cake pops. She recently made like eclairs of Zygarde. Just incredible work. Like sculpting with these confection materials and then like hand kind of painting all the details. Anyways, gorgeous stuff. And she always makes the community day Pokemon from Pokemon Go. Whenever there's like an event, she'll make a little something for that. So I started seeing her monthly Pokemon. Played a lot of Pokemon Go back then. Don't play so much these days. And that was, I was like, hey, I could do that. Like, that's a fun thing that kind of keeps you on track. It gives you a project every month. You know that people are going to be excited about that Pokemon on that day. So it kind of like trends a little bit. So I started making all of the community day Pokemon in just little small sizes. And that's like my whole collection of them back there. I think it was a 2-year stretch that I made it for every single month. And then once that I was doing that, that's what led to Litwick being the very first life-size one I made. And yeah, it was... I'm trying to remember. There was like what my whole plan was in that kind of 2021 range. Because I've always really loved make it real style of content. I'm all about the escapism, baby. So if you've got sci-fi or fantasy or whatever it might be, trying to make it real is just so cool, because it's like that thing that you loved and you know it's fiction, but you're bringing it into the real world, and it's just building that connection. I don't know how to even really put it into words, but I love that type of thing so much. And even just the fascination of like, can it be real is such an interesting conversation to have, right? Like, where are they playing within the bounds of our real physics, and where are they go completely blowing that off? So that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily have like the engineering degree that is often useful for those types of projects, but then it was when I started making all these Pokemon and I was looking at their Pokedex entries and whatever just for reference photos and seeing the size there, being like, you know, that's not that big. I could probably make a Litwick that was like the full size, and wouldn't that be cool? Because that's kind of like make it real for Pokemon. It's just a plushie still, but it brings that element to it. So I did that for Litwick, and I thought it was super cool. And then I started trying to do it for a bunch of the community days. I would make the little guys, and I would make a full size one, and it really went from there. So yeah, this is my version of LARPing. And yes, the hats up there, the Latios and Latias hats, it's another Pokemon Go thing. A lot of my earlier projects were kind of centered around Pokemon Go because a lot of my audience came from that Pokemon Go community earlier on. But those were for Hoenn Go Fest. And I guess we gotta get even deeper into the lore. Okay, so one of the first things that I ever got kind of a small viral moment for was a Pokéstop. And some of you may have seen this by chance. Many of you may not have. Depends how into Pokemon Go you are. But Captain Steel and I made a Pokéstop that was life-size. And you could press the button on the front, and the actual, like, it would spin. The circles of the stop would spin, and a gift would come out. And I think, do I have the gift somewhere? Oh, it's so hard to point. There we go. That's the Pokemon Go gift. And that would come out of the Pokéstop, and then we would open it up, and there would be like stickers or a little plushie or something for whoever spun the Pokéstop. So it dropped items like it did in game. And we had a lot of fun with that. That was mostly just a way to like connect with the community, and it seemed like such a neat idea. And then those posts got a lot of views, and people started to recognize us for it, and we tried to bring it to more places. And then like slowly the game just kind of lulled, and fewer people were out on community days, so we were going out with all this stuff and then not even meeting people because there was just nobody in the parks anymore, which was a shame. But it was a really cool era of Catser. And people did really love it, and I think we will like Pokemon Go seems to be having a little bit of a resurgence, at least in my city. I'm seeing a lot of people out again, so we might try and revive it on occasion, not every month, but do it again. But the point of the hats was that for Go Fest, we wanted to like walk around and actually play the event, so we made this little portable Pokéstop that didn't have the whole mechanism, but you could still spin it, just kind of like a fidget instead of having a button. And it was on a backpack, so we were walking around, roaming around, if you will, wearing a smaller version of the Pokéstop. And so we put on all the socials, like, find the roamers if you want to find the Pokéstop. We're not posting a location, but we'll, like, post a city, and we'll be roaming. So we wore the Latias hat so people could recognize the roamers. I don't know how many people got the joke, but I thought it was cute as heck. Yeah, so that was a good time. Met a lot of really cool people doing that. But yeah, then kind of fell out of the Pokemon Go specific kind of niche and just widened it out to doing more of the games and just bigger and bigger creations, which, like, yeah, Clodsire, for example, that one I think I just really wanted to make because I thought it would be kind of a showstopper, but also it's one of my very favorite ever Pokemon. And yes, it is hard to, we brought that to conventions, but it was very hard to fit in the car. And then I filled it up because he was turning into like a pancake. All his stuffing was settling and he just needed more stuffing. So now he's even bigger. But the thing about Clodsire is that it is not deflatable. So, Wailmer is certainly going to be bigger, but Wailmer is going to be able to deflate. That's going to be the game changer. As long as there's not air inside him, he will fit in the car. Well, I've got strong hands. Will my hands survive? Probably. What it really comes down to, and this is, look, not medical advice, that's not who I am, but just like crocheter to crocheter advice if anybody out there is worried. Um, all the standard stuff, right? Like stretching absolutely makes a difference. Breaks makes a difference. For me, I did have a lot of pain at one point, and it kind of like flares up here and there when I'm not as diligent about taking care of my wrists, or when I do have a project that I'm behind on and I put in too many hours over too short of a time. But wearing wrist braces at night was the absolute game changer for me. Like, yeah, changed my life, changed my whole experience with crocheting and pain and lack thereof. Um, which I don't know if everybody knows that. Like, I was wearing them during the day and I was trying to wear them when I was working, thinking it might keep my, like, positioning better or something. And then taking them off at night, being like, this is my wrist's chance to rest and breathe. And then I was chatting with a friend who isn't a crocheter, but just, like, has had wrist trouble in the past. And he was saying, like, you're wearing them at night, right? And I was like, no? Should I be? And he was like, yeah. Like, it makes such a difference. You have to wear them at night. A lot of people do, like, weird positions in their sleep that really messes with your wrists. So I started doing that, and it was, like, night and day. Like, pain was gone. I didn't even have to wear them during the day as long as I wore them at night. And, yeah, that's my number one tip for preserving your wrists on your hands. Yeah. Now, okay, so if you're not a crocheter yet, but you're looking to learn, okay. Elite vacuum. Neat. I mean, I'm always all for people learning. I think it is a little bit of a tricky skill, of course. Like, I don't try and sugarcoat that. I think there's a steep-ish learning curve to crochet that it takes a while to figure out, like, what you're even looking at, where you need to insert your hook, especially when you're learning and your stitches aren't as clean. Like, it is a bit of an uphill battle. You need to be patient with yourself. Once you get it, I found it just, like, you hit a point where it clicks and you're good to go. And you're just, yeah, cruising from there. But would Pokemon be a good starting spot? I think it depends a little bit. Like, on what Pokemon you choose, first of all. Wow, there is a variance between the different Pokemon. You pick something super simple like, I was going to say a Voltorb, but even that has one color change. But that's still not so bad. It's just simple. Spheres are going to be one of your easiest things to make. So if you want to start there, I think it's very reasonable. If you, like, I can't say I would recommend starting with a more complicated Pokemon. And the more, like, smaller pieces you have to deal with are going to be a little bit trickier for a beginner. Inkay, okay. Okay, Elite, yeah. That would be... I'm trying to remember exactly what Inkay looks like. I have a vague picture, but I'm trying to remember how many colors and stuff there are. Like, definitely a little bit trickier, but not super far out of reach. Like, that could probably be like a third or fourth project or something. It's all going to be about what you can find patterns for as well. I'm clearly not much of a pattern user these days. I make a lot of it, well, all of it myself, like, just from top of my head, more or less. But you can't start there. You definitely start learning from what other people have already mapped out for you. So yeah, Inkay, definitely on the trickier side, but not unreasonable. So it will definitely come down in part to if you could find somebody who has released a pattern of that. But I also feel like, no matter what the skill is, the thing you're most excited to make is always kind of a good place to start, in my opinion. Like, that's what's going to keep you motivated, is if you really care about the thing you're making. And there's tons of kits. Like, there's some pretty good kits out there. Not the one that I started with, but, like, all the other ones are pretty good. They get you the basic tools that you need to start. They, try their best to, like, teach you the different stitches you need to know. Like, they'll come with little diagrams and stuff. So the very best place to start if you're completely brand new is probably with one of those kits that teaches you how to make a penguin or something, you know? But yeah, like moving on, especially once you've done your first thing and you just, as long as you have your foundations, I don't see why you shouldn't start with Pokemon right from there. And there are a couple books about those as well, excuse me, that I've been meaning to look into. A couple officially licensed books and things. There's actually one that just dropped a couple days ago for like squares, like 2D Pokemon designs that I think is really cool. And I think I might go check that one out. Oh my goodness. Y'all, we got a donation. Thank you, Remy. That's amazing. So yes, anybody who is tuning in, I talked a bit about this at the beginning of stream. We do have a donation goal set for, I mean, this stream, but like honestly just for whenever. I'll talk about it a bit on my socials and stuff too. I have all the blue yarn I need, hopefully. But I don't have any of the white yarn yet for Wailmer, like to do the whole front half belly section. So that is what we're aiming for, and 450 is high, but I think realistic. Because yeah, like if you haven't worked in this medium, yarn is expensive, and I'm going to be using like a thicker, fluffier yarn, which should work up slightly faster, but also costs a little bit more per meter. So yeah, anybody who's able, who wants to contribute and feel like they've been a part of this process means the world. But honestly, just being here also, you know, hanging out, like the stream, subscribe if you can, share it around. We're actually going to shoot for partner on YouTube if we can. That's the dream. And it's looking more and more practical every day. So, yeah. Yes, so I am working on a leggy right now. That is what's happening. This will be one of the 4 like fingies on his fin. And we're almost out of this ball of yarn. So basically the system is I have what's the word I want? Like I have increases and stuff to shape the bottom, and then once I get to like where this marker is, the pattern becomes keep going around in circles until you run out of yarn. So we're getting close to finishing this fingy. I am excited, Gwendolyn, that you are as excited as I am to see this project. I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing it done. Do I have plans to release more patterns? It's an interesting question because kind of. Kind of do. Technically, and I don't love bringing this up because I don't feel good about it, but I did kind of promise my audience that I would write up the life-size Noibat pattern, I think when I hit 25k. I think that's what that deal was. So, that's still on the backlog. And I think I honestly might. It's just a matter of prioritizing it. So I'm not trying to gatekeep my patterns or anything. Like, that's not really what it's about. I just don't enjoy writing patterns, and I don't think I'm good at it. And sometimes I do, like, what I'm doing right now, I could write as a pattern because it's fairly simple. It's just like, well, for any like crocheters, it's basically 7 in a magic ring, increase times 7, and then it's that standard pattern of like 1 single crochet, 1 increase up to 21, 28, 35, and then it becomes increase by 5 each round, to, what was it, 65, and then like increase by 3, increase by 2 to 70, and then single crochets around. Like, I'm sorry, that probably sounded like nonsense, especially if you're not a crocheter. But the point is, it's fairly straightforward if you are a crocheter. Whereas, oh my goodness, some of the other stuff that I make, like, I wouldn't honestly know how to put it into terminology at all. Like, I just kind of do things to make the shapes I need. and to put it as like a line of instruction is so complicated. So I would like to have at least a small collection of life-size patterns. Right now it's just the shanks. I think I should do a few more. But I gotta make the time to do it. I mean, it's gotta look nice. And technically I should be getting pattern testers whenever I release a pattern, which is just extra levels of organization. And I don't think I'll ever sell them. So that's part of it, is I don't plan to ever really sell patterns. Mostly because they're not really mine to share, and I don't want to get too deep into this. I'm not trying to take the higher ground. I know a lot of people sell Pokemon patterns, and I think that's mostly fine, and they do beautiful work, and I'm glad other people, like anybody in chat who wants to make Pokemon, should be able to find patterns, because you're not finding them from me. But it's not my IP to sell, and I would love to work with the Pokemon company someday. Like, that's the dream. So I do want to be a little bit mindful of the choices I make, and what they might see if they start looking at me as a creator and whatnot. But free patterns is, I don't see a problem with that. No one's selling anything, so it's not, I'm not profiting off of their intellectual property, you know? Yeah. Sorry, I lost my thread a little bit there, but the bottom line is more patterns, probably. Probably not the most like polished patterns you'll ever see, but for free. And it is really cool to see other people's work. Somebody did make my life-size shanks and they tagged me in a picture of it. And it was really cool to see, and yeah, I do enjoy that. But yeah, for that like same reason, Remy, no Etsy. No, I don't sell the actual creations. I don't really sell the patterns. I just do it for the love of it, for the content of it. The goal, like the path I'm working is like events primarily. The size of things that I like to make are such a pain. Oh my goodness, pain in the butt to try and ship. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's a pain. And it is tricky selling crochet. Anybody who does it will tell you that. You know, takes a lot of hours to make, and not a lot of people necessarily have the budget to purchase what it's worth. And custom is tricky, because if I'm making the pattern up at the top of my head and I quote a certain price and then it turns out my pattern was bad and I have to remake the whole thing, then it's just like doubling my work hours. It is a whole thing. So no, not selling, no plans to, but you will find me at a lot of events. That's the thing. Right now it's mostly Southern Ontario stuff. I've definitely done some like Northern American stuff. Like, I've been to New York and Philadelphia and things that are still drivable from the Toronto area. But I mostly do things in Ontario, because that's where I live. And so yeah, we're looking at like being a guest at events, running panels at events, running games at events. That's the path that Katzers is following. Aw. Oh, we got Gwendolyn looking to make the shanks. That's amazing. I love that. I can tell you that... Oh, actually, did I used baby blanket for that. Yeah, I don't know enough about Ireland. I don't know what kind of crafting stores you have. I know Michael's is international, but I don't know if it's in every nation. And they carry a lot of the yarn I use. I've got some like local shops that are my go-tos, but I'm pretty sure they're not outside like my kind of county area. Beep. Beep, did you just ask me about life-size Pikmin critters? Because I have one. And I'm going to grab her because I'm so excited somebody brought up Pikmin. Perfect. So, this is a life-size Empress Bulblax. She's the same height as a Squirtle, for anybody interested in that comparison. I made this one, I think, around the release of Pikmin 4. Because I absolutely want to do more Pikmin stuff. Now, I did end up like starting to build my audience around Pokemon, and I have been a lifelong Pokemon fan. Like, that's not a problem. I'm doing this very much out of love. But I am a pretty long time fan of Pikmin as well. And just like the Pokedex, we've got a Piklopedia that does give us some stats for things. Yeah, so that's been on my mind for a long time. Like when I was like a preteen, teenage age, I guess, is when Pikmin 2 came out, or at least when I got Pikmin 2. And my family, my sister and I had the guidebook, like the player's manual book. And it had the Piklopedia printed at the back. And I spent a lot of time reading through the enemy entries and looking at their sizes, because it had sizes for all of the enemies in the book. And I would love to do that. They're definitely small. That much is for sure. Like, I think, Beep, that was your first question, is like, are they too tiny? And I did see, it was just, I don't even remember who it was. It was like a knitting club somewhere who made a short. And it was one of those, like, what's your hot take? And it was just, like, going around the circle. And somebody's hot take was that knitting with thread is not that bad. Or rather, crocheting. Sorry, there were knitters and crocheters. But her take was that crocheting with thread was not that bad. So I think I'm going to try it. And I think I'm going to try it for Pikmin. But also because, as I see some exclamations in chat, yeah, that's life-size. So anyone who's not familiar with Pikmin, it's not, maybe not everyone is. It's one of Nintendo's, in my opinion, best IPs. And you play as a little, like, astronaut dude who is, I think, about 3 centimeters tall. And he's followed around by all these little plant dudes who are, like, 2.5 centimeters tall. And this is one of the bosses you fight. She is 50 centimeters. So yeah, this was after I was well into my life-size Pokemon craze, and Pikmin 4 was coming out, and it had been so long since Pikmin 3, and we were all so excited, so I had to do something life-size, and I picked her. But there's a lot that are actually pretty big. A lot of the different bosses are on the scale of Pokemon, bigger than some, for sure. And I would love to make more and start doing that kind of comparison content. Like, I think, a Raging Longlegs is the same size as, I'm trying to think. I think it's 30 centimeters total, but that might be leg span. I'd have to look into this. I'd have to do my whole deep dive on how do you interpret the Piklopedia, just like I did for the Pokedex. But I think I heard a notification. We got a new tip. I don't even see it say from who. It's from someone. New tip from someone. Thank you, someone. Hang on. I can look at my actual... From Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. All the support. Yeah, so we'll see that. And yes, this is Jirachi. Actually, Jirachi is one of the 30 centimeter Pokemon who could be a comparable height to the Raging Longlegs, now that you put it that way. I'm trying to think if we have any Pokemon that are a 20 centimeter sphere. Like, maybe like a Rellor would be kind of like a... Yeah, could be. Pikmin, Xenoblade, and Pokemon. Heck yeah. Xenoblade is one that I will catch up on someday, I promise. Yeah, and there's actually the one other IP that I would love to get into life-sizing. So I did do a life-size Kirby for this for an event this past summer, and that was a lot of fun. I did 2 versions, actually, because technically Kirby does have an official size. And It's smaller than you would think, I think. um, Kirby's 20 centimeters, like officially. Like canon height Kirby is the same height as a Diglett. Presumably because Dreamland is small. I don't know. But then so I made one that size, but then I also made one that was this like scaled to the size Kirby is in Smash Brothers, which is much closer to my life-size Spiel. It's about a meter. Um, yeah, a lot of Nintendo stuff is just tiny. That's, I don't know, maybe Japan likes that kawaii kind of vibe. Like Nintendo does have, I guess, a lot of cute characters. So yeah, Kirby's this teeny baby, and then I made the bigger one. And so that got me thinking once I was in Smash Brothers, looking at the different characters' heights and things, that I would love to do some life-size Animal Crossing. I think that would be so fun. And there's a lot of things, like I would probably make a whole video playing around with it, because like Animal Crossing is not one of those IPs that you're supposed to take literally, because there's a lot of sort of dissonance between the types of things, I guess. But there's a lot of things is kind of the point. Because you're a person, and then you've got all of these neighbors who are animals, but they're anthropomorphized animals. But you can compare yourself to like a bunch of different species of fish and bugs that are real things with real life sizes. And you can compare yourself beside the statue of David, which is a real thing with a real life size. And so I was gonna do like a whole exploration of trying to decide the real height of Animal Crossing villagers, and then make one. Because honestly, they're not that big. I think if we're going Smash Brother rules, they were about the same height as Kirby, which is a meter-ish. So that's doable. What would I want to make most from Animal Crossing is a tough one. There's so many choices. Like, probably an NPC would be one of maybe the best way to go. I have a deep love for Pascal. He's pretty great. Just a villager actually itself, like, and it's customizable now, so I might make like my Katzer villager. That seems like a good starting point. And from there, I don't know. Stitches is one of my favorite villagers. Benjamin is one of my favorite villagers. Maybe I'll do some kind of like member poll where y'all get to vote on which villager I make. That could work. Hello. Hello, Mickelman. Wailmer is going. We are just finishing, kind of closing in on the end here of our second flipper fin finger. That's how much yarn I have left. And then we'll work on a new flipper fin finger. And that will probably take us till the end of stream to do that next one. Ah, yes. I have considered Timmy and Tommy because they are smaller. And they're a set. I mean, you're only asking here for Tommy, but Timmy might be my favorite. Alright, see you, Remy. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here. And we'll catch you next time. I'll probably do this again. I have plenty of Wailmer to work on. There's no reason not to do a bunch of it on stream, I suppose. Where will Wailmer reside? So Wailmer will be deflated. That's like the real answer. He might live in my living room for a bit, and then he will get deflated and transported to whatever events I bring him to. I'm hoping if you are all excited enough about this, reach out to your local conventions. Demand that you see Katzer and her life-size Wailmer at your next local anime expo or gaming con or whatever you attend. Tell them you want to see me there. And then if they reach out and make me an offer, maybe you'll see me there. That's the dream. So that's one thingy done. Well, it's the second one. but that's a new fingy done. We move on to the third one. And I do have a few questions that were dropped in my Instagram stories yesterday that I said I would talk about too. Oh, thank you, Nick. Always happy to bring some positivity. So yeah, people were sort of asking, like, okay, so yes, there's some basics that I can just reiterate. Wailmer will be crocheted around the ball. No stuffing needed. I have a lot of faith in the ball to hold up. I don't think it's going to be too much weight or anything. It's not going to be light, but it's not that heavy. It's, you know, a layer of yarn. If it pops, I will be very sad. I don't know. I can try and repair it. I do have a bit of a vinyl patch kit, so we're just gonna go on faith on that one. It will inflate, it will deflate, it will have a zipper to access the ball, and the ball itself came off the internet. I think it was on Amazon that we found it. If you can find it in a local store, go for it. I'm always looking, like, I'm always open to Amazon alternatives if you find them, but sometimes it's really hard to source a 6-foot ball, and you take what you can get. I'm just gonna put a quick stitch marker. If I have one on me, I will put a stitch marker. If I don't, rip. I don't think I really need this, unless y'all want me to mark down the pattern. I haven't really been paying, like, I have been writing the pattern as I go, so I guess this is useful. And this will just mean that I don't have to count as I go. I can just, like, count up from the marker once I finish. Write down the number. Right, so where I get my yarn was a question I got a few times. And that one is not something that I can, like, share in a helpful way, but I have a yarn outlet near me, and it's amazing. I love it there. Shout outs to Cambridge Fibers. If you are anywhere, like, in the GTA, Cambridge, Ontario has the best yarn store I've ever been to. And so this is where we get into that kind of pickle of I don't know where I would get more, is because it's an outlet. So what they stock is primarily, like, retired colors or limited edition colors or, like, special kind of event promo colors, and then the promotion ended, so, like, the leftover gets sent to the outlet. So usually it's, like, end of production stuff, or at least sometimes it can be end of production stuff, and if it's not, it's to track down more of it. And the extra tricky part of this stuff, why I haven't responded to any comments, like, asking what it is, seeing if you could find it anywhere else, I don't know what it's called. Like, it's definitely the Bernat blanket that I always use. Oh, we got someone here who goes to Cambridge Fibers. Heck yeah, Jen. So you know what I'm talking about. Amazing selection. Like, part of what that is that it's such a better selection of colors. You can find incredible shades of things that you can never find in the mainline product, which I love. Because there's definitely stuff that they just don't sell enough color variety to match in that mainline selection. So you can find some really perfect color matches at the outlet, but you better get enough of it is the thing. So, Brantford, yeah, perfect. So yeah, if you need more, the lady who runs it is amazing, and she's super great. Shout outs to Carrie. Because she really will work with me of, like, I'm looking for this. Or, like, when I was making Gengar, I was like, I need as much of any kind of purple as you can get me. Like, I can show you a shade and tell you what I would like to find, but I'm not even going to be picky. I just need like 50 of it. And she's like, oh, that's a lot. We can look in the back and see what we've got. And then she, we'll check if she gets a brand new shipment of purple. Like, she's like, she'll call me if she finds it. She's awesome. So I can go in and be like, I'm looking for this. I got it from you last month. Do you happen to have any more? Because sometimes they will open like a new crate at the back and be like, oh, we did have more of such and such. But I don't believe a single ball of this blue came with a label. So I wouldn't know what to call it. Like, I don't know if it has a name. And I could bring her a sample and see, like, have you seen this color? And she would do her best to help me match it. But I wouldn't know how to look it up. Because I don't think I have a name for this particular color of yarn. But it is pretty great going there, because not only do you get a better selection of colors and varieties, it's also half price compared to anywhere else. It's like excellent. So I did not spend as much on blue yarn as I will on white yarn, but she doesn't really carry much of what I'm looking for in like for the size and texture of the white yarn. So it is what it is. At least half the project can be discount. Other than that, we talked a bit about how long I've been crocheting and how long I've been crocheting Pokemon. If you did just show up, it was kind of a pandemic project for me, like everybody else, picking up crocheting. And Pokemon, I think I started crocheting maybe about a year in. So crocheting for, let's say, about 5 years total. 4 years of it doing Pokemon. Probably about those same 4 years have been free-handing it. I don't think I have used many Pokemon patterns ever. Any? Ever? I don't know. I have followed a few patterns. And a few that have been, like, excellent. I guess I made some Christmas ornaments. I was a pattern tester for, oh my gosh. How am I going to forget her name? It's a good account. I'll share it. I think one of them was a collaboration with Maria Amigurumi. I can't believe I've forgotten the name. They also made the Spy Family little, like, brooches. It was really cute. I'm looking it up because I feel bad. Mary Amigurumi. So it's like amigurumi, but Mary. And it was a collaboration with, if I can find it. Haha. Oh, it was with Ghost Kitty. Was it actually? Oh, I've done a few different pattern tests for Ghost Kitty Crochet, and I completely forgot that she was part of this ornament. Okay, cool. I should share both of those. I'll put those in, like, my stories, because they are both incredible creators. They do really cute stuff. Ghost Kitty is maybe my favorite crocheter, if I have to pick one. She does beautiful work, and I've done pattern tests for her a couple times now. Made an incredible Digimon. I pattern tested her Gabumon, and it's like one of the nicest things I've ever made, because she crochets better than me. Like, just following her pattern, she uses a much smaller hook for much tighter stitches, and she's got some really good techniques. So I definitely learned from her patterns. And if I had the patience to just crochet like that all the time, all of my creations could be that nice. But I don't have that patience, so it's only when I'm testing for her that they come out that beautiful. But that is another question that I did get at one point. So I am, the yarn I use, this blanket yarn, is a size 5 bulky. And I am using my 9mm crochet hook. My, like, favorite to work with is 8mm. Because I feel like that's a bit of a nicer compromise of getting a bit, like, tighter, cleaner stitches, without being too small and taking forever. But when it's a project this big, I'll bump it up a little bit. My Clodsire was actually made with the 10 millimeter hook, and I thought it was maybe a little bit loose, like it was a little bit too much. So went down to 9 for this as a compromise between my standard 8 and the too big 10, and I think it's looking good so far. We'll see how it all works out once it's on the ball, but I think the 9 millimeter is working pretty well in this case. And yeah, definitely a fan of the bigger hooks when I can do it. When you make them this big, you want the projects to go fast. Will there ever be a Snorlax is a question that I've been getting a fair bit. I haven't made up my mind. If you asked me this question, actually, like, seriously, when people asked me this question, my answer was always no. Just because it's so big. It's more like Clodsire, like it's not sphere shaped, so it's not as easy to make deflatable, which means you just have to have somewhere to put it, and it's so big. And somebody else has done it. So it didn't feel like exciting. But that person, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think I'll remember her name. If you Google life-size Snorlax, I think you'll find the articles. It was from like 2018 or something like that. And it looked really good. And I couldn't find her on any platform. Like there was an Etsy store that was, I think, empty now. And these articles about her and citing her, but I couldn't find that handle on any platform anymore. So I don't know if she crochets anymore. But the legacy of having made a life-size Snorlax lives on. And I could do it. But like I said, if I'm not like doing something on the cutting edge, it doesn't feel as interesting to me. But I am softening to the idea. I am amenable to giving the people what they want if it's important enough to all of you. We'll see. Snorlax is bigger than Wailmer. It kind of depends. Like, he's not as round. So this is another interesting thing that can be discussed when it comes to crocheting. Everything is about surface area. That's really what it comes down to. So, for example, comments tend to get split between do Eternatus and do Wailord. And I actually don't know which one would be harder to crochet. Like, Eternatus is way bigger. Like, it is huge. It is massive. I appreciate that. And I don't know where I would build it yet. But in terms of pure, like, manpower, crochet hours, I don't know. That kind of bony structure of Eternatus might be easier to pull off. Of course, it would need, like, such a structure. I would have to be crocheting over something. And once I have that whole bone structure, is there even really a point to just crocheting a skin over it? I don't know. That's a philosophical question. But Wailord is so big, and it is like so tube. There is so much surface area, so much volume. I don't know. It's a tough one. So that, which is just to say that Snorlax being less spherical than Wailmer, but taller than Wailmer, might mean it kind of averages out. Like, I think it would be a very comparable amount of work. The biggest question, to figure out, if I were to take on Snorlax, is Snorlax green or blue? Begin fighting in the chat, because because I know that if I pick the wrong color to crochet with, I mean, engagement is engagement, but I don't want to spend like a whole series working really hard on a giant Pokemon that people are just going to tell me is wrong for the rest of my life. For what it's worth, I don't think that there's necessarily right or wrong answers to that one. It's kind of like, is Ditto pink or purple? It does depend. It does depend what source you're looking at and what era you're looking at. I think it's kind of a teal color, which I guess is cheating because teal is like a green-blue. I don't know. Ender thinks Snorlax is blue. If I had to pick one, I would have said green over blue. But this is the problem. Oh, Ceruledge would be so cool though. I love that Pokemon. I love it a lot. Somebody was asking me, I think it was another one of responses to my story, what like my thoughts are just kind of on Paldean Pokemon and what some of my favorites are. And my god, I think they cooked that gen. I think Paldea is one of the strongest generations, maybe. I don't know. I'm in that space where, like, Pokemon is so ingrained in my very core that it's hard to pick favorites anymore. Like, it's hard to say something is better than Hoenn or Sinnoh or Johto or Kanto. Like, these Pokemon are also... my emotional attachment starts to wane a little bit, maybe, starting in Gen 5. But I love a lot of Pokemon from Gen 5 onwards. But Paldea, oh man, I looked up the list of new Pokemon from Paldea just to try and see if I could pick favorites. It's like half of the whole dex. I think the shiny is blue. I think I feel confident, Caitlin, saying that the shiny is blue. So yeah, maybe that's the safer way to go. Because people also ask me for shinies sometimes. So Caitlin may have cracked the code here. But gosh, yeah, trying to pick a favorite Paldean Pokemon. Like, already you've got Paldean, Wooper, and Clodsire. Like, do I need to even go on? But if I do go on, like, you've got the whole Pommy line, I think is amazing. You've got the Mousehold line is hilarious. You've got Wiglet and Wugtrio. Oh my gosh, so good. And then, of course, like, the starters, I'm not going to go deep into it. I have some thoughts, but I am very attached, at least at this point. Like, Skeledirge is my favorite line, I'd say. But I'm pretty attached to both the Sprigatito and the Fuecoco lines. My apologies to Quaxley. Oh my gosh, hi to you, Leanne. Glad you're here. I'm listing all of the Pokemon from Paldea that I adore, because I know there's more, and I'm already forgetting them, because there's so many good ones. There's also Shenpao, which is maybe, like, one of my favorite legendaries in a long time. Been a fan of snow leopards my whole life. Maybe I'll make a life-size Shenpao. That's tempting. And he's kind of a noodle. So it wouldn't be too hard to do. I think a lot of the new regional evolutions are really cool. Annihilate was really cool. King Gambit was really cool. Toadschool was hilarious also. It was just a very good generation. And I think I forgot something important to me, but that's what I remember. And that's already a lot. Wait, no. Stop it. Ender, no. They did not call Snorlax black. I literally closed... Okay, I had the Bulbapedia page. We've been derailed. I'm looking into this. I had the Bulbapedia page for Pokemon Colors open, and I literally closed it for stream just to, like, save a little bit of bandwidth on my computer or whatever. Optimize memory. But we're going back. Where is my tab for? Okay, Pokemon Research bookmarked. And do list of Pokemon by color. And we are just going to Control F this bad boy for Snorlax. Oh my god, it's black. I have such feelings. This makes no sense. Like, and so is Munchlax. And I mean, like, I don't think Murkrow is black. I think they actually made it blue, but I can't be too mad about them calling it black, I guess. But I will say, for anybody who has never looked too close at the Pokédex, I promise you it's worth it. For the experience. You will be frustrated, don't worry. But like, okay. And this is the problem. Okay, so I started looking into this because what? Oh my god. Stream has been derailed. You're telling me that Snorlax is black, but Gothitelle is purple. Like, I know she has a purple face, but she has 80% black everything else. And Stene is purple. I don't even think those red bits are purple. Now, Ditto is what brought me to this page in the first place. Ditto. Oh yes, Tinkaton. Sorry, I just noticed in chat here. Tinkaton is an excellent point. That's another one I forgot for how amazing Paldea is. So Ditto is purple by Dex. And I had already been into this, like, polling people. Is it pink? Is it purple? I was trying to make up my mind. And the Pokedex called it purple. Now, that led me to this whole page where I was scrolling through. And is there pink? Is pink an option? Pink is totally an option. Yeah. It's not like it's only purple because it's not pink. And yet, they've classified West Sea, Shellos, and Gastrodon as purple. And this was kind of my problem. It's because I was going through and, like, the number of red Pokemon. Like, I'm gonna list a few for you here. Remember, these are the red Pokemon. We've got Charmander and Charizard. We've got Kingler and Paris and Magikarp and Torchic and Sunny Day Castform and Autumn Deerling. Even Fennekin is on the red list. And then, you know, I'm like, okay, none of those things are red. They're all orange, but they're, like, you know, they're a reddish orange. They're fire types. I guess it's not that big of a stretch if you're just going to lump red and orange together, right? But I feel like they have a category for orange. And it stops making sense. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no orange. That makes me feel a little better. But there is brown. I should get back to crocheting, but I did... The reason why I had this tab open on my computer for so long is because I really want to make content about it. And I hadn't, like, kind of conceptualized it into a real concept yet. But I know I have to talk about this. I have to. Okay, and yet Chimchar is brown? What? What a world, the Pokemon world. What a world. Okay, well, I'll save the rest of that for later. What have we been saying? Slurpuff is white. That's ridiculous too. Snorlax was supposed to be black in Gen 1 and 2. Interesting. I'll look into the history of that. And I think there is a lot of history, like, there's a lot of interesting stuff to be said when you look more at some of the history of the games and how they were developed and when they were developed. And, you know, there was no such thing as 3D models when some of them were being assigned their sizes. And so this is, I guess, a good thing to mention for anybody newer to the channel. Crocheting is my medium. I always crochet the Pokemon. This is the thing I do. But the fact that I pick life-size Pokemon, and that means, like, I have to... The Pokedex gives you a number. Gives you one number. Calls it a height. It could refer to anything. It could be any dimension of the Pokemon that we're talking about. And it is not always consistent. I got the book. Do I have my book handy? Aha. This is the official size book for the Pokemon up to Alola. And I procured this book because I do so much research on Pokemon sizes. And I brought it I brought it to stream because I wanted everybody to take a look at Wailord. That felt important to me. All the pages are like fold out posters, basically, which is both convenient and inconvenient. So, I can't see. That's Wailmer and Wailord. So, you know what we're making and how big it looks. That's that one. That's how much bigger Wailord is. Just for y'all to think about, just for a little bit of visual comparison. Everybody asking me where I'm going to put Wailmer. I've lost my... Yaha. Anywho. Hey, Thomas, welcome to stream. You're just in time for my size inconsistency rant. Rachel, to answer your question, we are 3, 4, 5 full skeins into the project, but more like 5.5, 6 between different pieces. In other terms, we are 16 hours into the project. Is Flygon the same size as Wailmer? Maybe. Let me open her back up. Yeah, the exact same height, 6'7". You got it. Flygon's a pretty good Pokemon. That would be a fun one to make. But yes, I will continue my brief rant. So, being able to make a life-size Pokemon means like understanding the proportions of that Pokemon and what makes its size that size. as pointed out, right? Like Flygon and Wailmer are the exact same height, so you got to figure out how that works for them. And Mimikyu, for example, is only a 20 centimeter Pokemon, but it's only actually measured like up to the neck of its disguise. That's the 20 centimeters. So then there's like a whole much more what looks like height that doesn't get measured. So I've done a lot of research on Pokemon sizes. So when I'm not crocheting, that's what I'm doing. Some of the other videos you'll find on this YouTube channel are much more along those lines of figuring out Pokemon sizes. I've done some live streams in the past playing Violet or Legends Arceus and like comparing different Pokemon to each other to try and isolate that number a little cleaner. I'm very passionate about it. I have a lot of opinions. But it is definitely just a fact that they are not consistently represented all the time. The anime definitely plays pretty fast and loose with what numbers were given in the Pokédex versus like just what they're trying to go for narratively, right? But there's also like a lot of Pokemon promo stuff doesn't seem to be that thoroughly researched. Like I don't know if the teams just don't talk to each other internally, or if they're rushing some of their like marketing stuff. I don't know what the deal is, but like when they released that poster of the evolutions, I can tell you for a fact that in the games they are not measured the way that they're shown in that infographic. Not even a little. So, anywho, I have not done Shuckle yet. Oh my gosh, some kind of Evo or form of Mimikyu would be amazing. I am all for that. Oh my god. Guys, what if Mimikyu had a pre-Evo that wore a Pichu disguise? I feel like I'm gonna have to make that even if the Pokemon Company doesn't. Well, okay, so, like, thank you for the inspo ender, because heck yes to that one. Currently working on skein. I just counted 4, 5, 6. Let's call this one 7. Working on skein 7 of 26. So the what I'm thinking is that each of the like fingers of his flippers is about 1 ball. Two of them, like, there's kind of like 2 bigger ones in the middle and then 2 smaller ones on the outside edges. So those won't be a full ball. So let's say 3 balls for the fingies, plus, like, actually just like the fin part going up. Maybe 5, conservatively. Maybe I should call it 6 to be safer. And then there's 2 flippers. So that would be 12 balls of yarn-ish, just to make the flippers. Which leaves us with 14 to cover Wailmer. But for the math, the Clodsire that the ball is sitting on in all of my shorts was like 15 total. Like 15 is a lot. Fulbebe and Joltik seem to be better to do as alpha sizes. Oh. Yeah, did we have... I don't think either of those Pokemon were in Arceus. Which doesn't mean that they couldn't ever be seen as alphas. We just don't have alphas of them at the moment. This is the next problem. I really want to find some references of Wailmer in-game. And Wailmer has not been in games lately. It was in Sword and Shield, is my understanding. It might have been in the DLC, but it was definitely in like a wild zone. So I can work with that. That could be a place to get some pictures, but I was really bummed that Wailmer isn't in Violet or Arceus. Yeah, everything is straight up single crochets. Like all of it. I think there's a couple details around kind of like he has like a lip around his mouth that I might play around with the stitches a little bit. But other than that, I keep it nice and simple for these big projects. Yeah, okay, it was DLC for Sword and Shield. Fair enough. I have been meaning to play that. I actually never played the DLC for Sword and Shield, and I think I ought to. I've heard good things about it. Calyrex is sure relevant as ever in the meta of competitive, and I've got a friend who really loves Calyrex, and I just didn't play Crown Tundra. I did play, or like I do play Poke Clicker, which is it's actually a very like big, in-depth idle clicker game. It's like Cookie Clicker, but infinitely better. And I don't know if I would recommend it because it does consume a bit more of my life and attention than it probably is entirely responsible. But I very much love to play it. And it takes you through all the generations, and it takes you through the plot of the generations. And I did get to do the Sword and Shield DLC in Poke Clicker, so I know a little bit of what happens. But it's just I'll get that DLC. Maybe I'll stream the DLC, and everybody can judge when I sometimes forget typing matchups or something. I'm not good at Pokemon. I just love Pokemon. That's the difference. And then we'll get our references. I really do love, I've done it just a couple times so far. I did it with Spiel in Legends Arceus, and I did it with Wooloo in Sword and Shield. But I love to do side-by-sides, like in-game and real life. Make the life-size Pokemon, make the cosplay, and like just try and capture the photo as accurate to the screenshot as I can. I love those pictures. I think they're so cool. So if I can do some of that with Wailmer... The question, I wonder, I don't suppose Wailmer is going to fit in my washer or dryer. See, that's the beauty of this yarn I use, is machine washable and dryable, which has made a world of difference when it came to, well, for Spiel. That has been washed a few times now, because, like, any of the Pokemon that I've brought to conventions and, like, played games with people, those ones need to get washed. So I have washed my Dugtrio, my Ekans. The Ekans I threw in a pool. I was able to wash and dry that one. And so this is where my thought process was going. Could I put Wailmer in a pool? It's a beach ball. It's a water type. I could get like Pokemon Snap screenshots. Oh, that would be so cool. I'm going to think about it. But without the ability, if it's going to be too big to fit in my dryer, then it becomes a bit more of a situation. Got Gen 9 DLC. Oh, just to become the Pokemon. Yeah. It is very out of the way. Like, as cool as that feature was, you do kind of have to look for it, oddly enough. But I really loved the Gen 9 DLC. I thought it was well worth playing. I mean, the plot itself, like, I didn't like being forced to bully Kieran. My character was made to make choices that I never would have made. But it was a lot of fun, especially Blueberry Academy. I really love running around the terrarium, for sure. There was a lot of good Pokemon you could catch there. And they gave you that kind of, like, micro dosing of accomplishment like you have in Legends Arceus, where you have, like, the, to get your, were they league points? They were BP. Battle points? Blueberry points? If anybody remembers what BP is, you can tell me in chat. But they would just give you, like, little mini quests, like, take a picture of a Pokemon in this biome, catch 3 Pokemon by surprise. I know, right, Ender? They don't let you be a good friend. It's not cool. and then he goes through a whole thing. Yeah, but I do appreciate any game that lets me do little micro goals like that. I feel very accomplished. Oh, BBQs. Annoying to get a large amount fast. I guess so. You just gotta do them passively, always. I honestly haven't spent that many of them, I guess. Like, I got the big unlocks. Because I feel like you had to spend those in order to get some of the Pokemon to spawn, maybe. Like, you had to upgrade the biomes. But I haven't done much of the cosmetics or, like, upgrading my clubhouse or anything. I did get the upgrade that allows you to put filters on your photos, because I was like, oh, sure, whatever. Completionism, I should have the upgrades. And now it asks me every single photo I take if I want to. And I never do. Like, on a rare situation, I might want to put a filter on it. But, like, in general, I don't want to put filters on it. And I thought it was going to be like you could press a button if you wanted to add a filter. And no, instead you have to go through 2 extra menu boxes every time you take a picture, which is a little frustrating, but here I am living with it. But replaying Legends Arceus, Thomas, that's pretty exciting. Maybe one of my favorite Pokemon games of all time. I was thinking about it just the other day that I need to go back and play it again. I'm not much of a, I don't reset my games ever. So, which is a cool thing about the Switch, is I do have a kind of a backup profile where if I want to replay the start of a game or something, I can do that as like a new person. That is cool compared to the original Pokemon games that I just played once and could never delete my file. But I do want to go back and play more of Arceus. Like, I think I would love to it's going to take so many hours, but I would feel so cool if I could actually, like, 100% complete that Pokédex. Like, not even complete it, but perfect it. I have a desire to do that. And I'm pretty far off. I can't say I've made a ton of progress, but I was thinking about doing that. Like, I've always wanted to do that in an Extra Life stream, which I'm not actually going to be doing Extra Life this year. It's an annual live stream charity fundraiser. I've done it a couple times in the past with a different group of people. Um, it's a lot of fun. So that organization doesn't really exist anymore. The one I used to do it with was a Maple Gel Guild. But I would love to do it on like Katzer's channel here. I would love to do it as Katzer. I just happened to be busy during Extra Life weekend this year. But next year, I'm thinking I'll try and hit that. We can have a 24-hour party on live. And I always figured that maybe I would play Arceus and I would just like grind through all the Pokédex entries for 24 hours. See how far I can get. Yeah, we'll play together. There you go. But maybe I just go live playing it for funsies some days, even if it's not a whole big stream event like Extra Life. Cause you know what? Legends Zai is coming up. We gotta cherish Arceus. The last few weeks it has of being our only Legends game. I am very curious to see how Legends Zai is gonna compare. Like, there's a lot that I'm very excited for in the trailers. I think it looks like it's a pretty well-made game. I think it looks like it's giving us a lot of, like, maybe lore, like world building. Like, it looks very immersive, which is something I'm pretty invested in with my whole real-life aspect going on. But I need to know more. Because if I only have like isolated wild zones, I don't think it's going to capture the magic of Arceus. You know, I'm not judging yet. I'm hoping to wait and see if there's like a different map or there's like an underground area, I think. Maybe that has a lot of wild Pokemon and feels a bit more free. I don't know. But if they don't give me that same like Pokédex system, I'm going to be devastated. That's so much of what I play for is just like constant interactions with the wild Pokemon and getting your little jingles of accomplishment. If I'm not getting check marks the whole time I'm playing, what am I playing for? Basically. Prefer how open Scarlet was. Yeah. I do think open world, like, I think some people miss routes. And I think I can understand why they might miss routes, like the way that they used to be, but I really liked open world. I do think this is the most connected I've felt to a generation in a while. I'm very, very fond of Paldea. The, like, place, the region. But yeah, I don't know. Like we can hold out for maybe the next mainline Pokemon game to follow that format. I think there's a good chance it will. But it doesn't seem like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like Zai is doing that. And yeah, I also have that feeling it might not be quite as good as Arceus Ender. The way they lock the starter megas, yeah. I cannot say that I support the way that they have been structuring things. I was very disappointed to see DLC announced before the game is even out. Like, that does make me feel like they're trying to sell me an incomplete game. And I don't love it. And it's really frustrating. I think a lot of us are in a bit of this trap of like being so, I don't want to say loyal, that sounds bad, but like being so kind of devoted to the series and so excited to see the directions that it goes and experiencing whatever their, experiences were offered. But then you do end up feeling like you just no matter what choices they make, you still support them, even if it's a choice you don't like. But if you don't buy the game at all, it is legitimately a pretty a pretty big piece of Pokemon, and the experience that they're building out is going to be in that game. And if you don't play it, the FOMO is very real. Granted, I don't have even a Switch 2 yet, so I don't know if I'm playing this game at launch. I just know that I will definitely end up playing it at some point. It's who I am. It's got the references I need, you know? It's a little bit toxic. A little bit. I hadn't even thought. I don't really do any challenge runs or like anything. I don't really do anything non-vanilla with my Pokemon games, if we're being honest. But I didn't realize, of course, it would be harder to Nuzlocke. And maybe that's why Pokemon went open world. We don't know. Yeah, like I was looking at the release date being in October. It's a little bit far out from holiday season, but I have like a pretty big family. I've got some generous people in my family. I will often wait on any kind of like electronics, video games, whatever. Like there'll be holiday gifts for me potentially, you know? It's going to be hard not to play it at launch if like I've got a lot of Pokemon friends. I've got a lot of friends who are have even been invited to like the preview events and stuff, and they're showing off that they got to try the new demo. So if I don't play it at launch, I'm going to be very jealous of a lot of people who are sharing all the things that they're seeing and playing. But I do think realistically, I'm probably going to be like asking for the game for Christmas kind of thing. That's usually my style. And heck, by then the DLC will be out. And maybe there'll be some way to bundle it so it's not as expensive as buying them separately. Or maybe I can do that thing. Maybe I'll end up with a friend who can loan me the game through that, like, digital loaning whatever the Switch 2 did. I can't say I understood what that was, but if it lets me play a game for free, I'm open to learning about it. I'm checking my notes because I was saying that any questions people leave on my YouTube post or my stories, that I would check them. I would answer a bunch of them. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna double check if I have any more that I should be checking out. Did we get any comments here? Okay, we did have one about the biggest thing I've crocheted so far. And I think the answer's gotta be Clodsire. I think it's gonna be Clodsire until this bad boy here is done. Clodsire being, well, okay, so Clodsire is 5'11". Wailmer is 6'7". I think my Clodsire is maybe on the slightly large size. I think my Clodsire might be more like 6'1" as opposed to 5'11". And my Wailmer, the beach ball at least was advertised as a 6-foot sphere. It's hard to measure. I tried to hold up a tape measure. I think that's pretty accurate. And then you get a little bit of added, like the layer of yarn itself will give you an extra maybe inch or two. See how I can pad it out. Because I do want it to be pretty close to 6'7". 6 foot is within the range, you know. It could be like maybe an extra small Wailmer. It would still be life size. But we'll try and get as close to 6'7" as we can. And we got another contribution to our yarn fund. Thank you, I Heart Chicago. It means so much to have the support of everybody going into a project like this. So yeah, we're gonna say Clodsire's the biggest for now. It's gonna be Wailmer soon. From there we'll see. Measure along the seam from top to bottom. Find the radius. The radius would be like an internal, but I could find the circumference that way. Yeah, if I check the circumference. Even that's not easy to do. The ball's outside my room right now. Um, but I'm sure I could manage it with a little bit of help, maybe. um, yeah, and I did do math for what it's worth. All the people in my comments trying to like math out the surface area of the ball and the surface area of yarn that I have. I did do my own math, and I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna have enough yarn. Just realized that my project is kind of hidden by my mic. I don't know how much people are here to truly see the crocheting happen. Where am I going to store it? I'm going to store it in a vacuum bag. I'm going to deflate the beach ball, and I'm going to try and find like a mattress size vacuum bag or something that I can smush Wailmer into. If I can find a mattress size one, I might even be able to fit Clodsire into it, like all of Clodsire, which would be really cool. Let's see. How long does it take on average for each one? So this is a question from Roly Poly on Instagram. And I don't even really know how to answer it. On average, how long does it take to make each one? I have such a range of Pokemon at this point. And they range from like, I can make a Diglett in I think half an hour. Which, of course, is a small one. It's one of... At one point in time, it was the smallest Pokemon. And it's very simple. So, like, even Joltik takes a little bit longer than a Diglett, even though he's technically half the size, because he has a lot more detail to him. He's got pincers, and he's got fluffy butt, and he's got legs that need to be sewn on. So, Diglett's probably my fastest one at about half hour. I think Gengar probably took between 60 and 80 hours. That was a really long one. Clodsire, I think, was 50 to 60 hours. We'll see how Wailmer goes. Right now, I am sitting at 16 and a half hours. And we are not particularly close to finished. So, knowing that all of my yarn takes about 3 hours a ball, if I'm using all 26, we're going to round this, so it's 78 hours in blue if I use all of it. Like, if I actually need it, which I probably will. So we're looking well over 100 hours for this project. But I do think that my average time, like based on kind of the average Pokemon that I make, I tend to make things around the 5-hour mark, I think. A lot of the stuff I make, the 30, 40, 50 centimeter Pokemon, I can do in a day. Like if I sit and I focus, it's a day's work. So there we go. We'll say 5 and 6 hours. There are some Pokemon that I don't want to crochet. That is true. I mean, I can't even say Wailord because I do kind of want to. My dream is someday, once this is proliferant enough, I think Captain Steel and I will probably be able to get like a joint kind of commercial property, and hopefully it'll be very spacious. And I would love to do some kind of community call, like maybe it's other creators that I partner with, but even just like any viewers who crochet, even if you don't have a social account, and just be like, make, I don't know what's realistic, like a 1 meter squared or something, and like send me your square meter of blue to this PO box, and then I can like kind of crowdsource crochet and stitch it all together and actually make a Wailmer. That's the dream. I think that would be so cool. And like, not even in spite of differences, but like especially with different dye lots, different, I mean, maybe it could even be whatever like size yarn they want. I think it's kind of crazy to use smaller than blanket yarn for big pieces, but if somebody wanted to use smaller yarn, they could. And then we have like a patchwork Wailmer. Oh, it would be so nifty. That would be like, yeah, that would be world shaking. That's the dream. So if anybody wants to start chipping in towards, I mean, the yarn fund can also be a warehouse fund. And yeah, like that'll be many years down the line, but that is a dream. So I can't even say I don't want to crochet Wailord. I think I can say I don't want to crochet. There are certain Pokemon that I just don't like. Conkeldurr comes to mind. I would never like to do that. That's no good. I feel like there's a few that I've gotten requests that I don't want to crochet like super intricate Pokemon. If it's not a Pokemon I love and there's like a bajillion little strands or something, no, probably not worth it. Tynamo is certainly one of the smallest Pokemon. I'm just catching up on chat here. There are 6. Is it a 6-way tie? There are several Pokemon that are all 10 centimeters or 4 inches. That is the smallest. So Pokemon Go in, their sizes are like chunked in denominations of 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So there are 10 centimeter, 20 centimeter, 30 centimeter Pokemon. There is nothing in between by Pokedex. Like there is variance in between. But no Pokemon's official average height is between those like segments. Tiers, I don't know, words. But there is a small collection of Pokemon that are all 10 centimeters. So it is Tynamo. Or no, wait, actually. Extra small Tynamo is 10 centimeters. Regular Tynamo is actually 20. It is the same size as Diglett. The smallest Pokemon are Joltik, Cutiefly, Flabebe, Cosmoem, Sinistea, and Sinistcha. If I've forgotten any, drop them in chat. But I think it's 6. I think it's those 6. Oh, wait, no, Comfey. Comfey is also a 10 centimeter Pokemon. Maybe it was 6 before Sinistcha? Or maybe it's like 10, and I'm forgetting the 8th one. Tiniest Pokemon. Because I want to make them all. I think it would be great to have a collection of the tiny ones. But that's most of them. Yeah, right? I think, okay, so people like my Wailord idea. This is what I'm seeing in chat now that I honestly do think that's pretty possible someday. Now it's still like a massive undertaking. Like it's so big. It's so big. I need to get like an airplane hangar or something just so I can show people like I have to fill this. Because yeah, like stitching together that many patches is still going to be a huge job. Oh, Gimme Ghoul. Yes, Ender, you're right. I forgot Gimme Ghoul. Wandering is also a 10 centimeter. And that is 8. So maybe it's 8. Gosh, yeah. And like the framework, I feel like actual like blimp framework might be the best way to structure a Wailord. I don't know. It would be cool. What would you even do with it? Do I want it? It could be like hanging, like the like in the Museum of Natural History. Hang it in some kind of a warehouse or a hangar. I don't know. Need some pretty big partners to make that one come to life, I think. But yeah, like we'll make it the dream, and get enough people in on it. It's definitely gonna happen someday. Get the Pokemon Company in on it if we can. Oh man. Okay. Do we have anything else that I'm supposed to cover here? We are going on about 2 hours of streaming so far. Um, have I made Gligar? Not yet. I think I saw another one in chat. Staryu was asked about, and I haven't made a Staryu yet, but that one is uh, on my radar. Staryu, Starmie, I think would be excellent projects. I don't know if a museum. It's so tricky. Like, I don't know what can accept. Like, it's going to be trademarked. And so, even if I'm donating it, like, for charity, can they display something that is Pokemon's trademark without a license? I don't know the rules. So I'm open to that, but I don't know if it's that simple. Have I done Slowpoke yet? Not yet. Slowpoke would be another really good one. Psyduck is one that I have on my do it soon list. I have the yarn back there already for that orange is my Trapinch yarn. I'm excited to make a Trapinch. A lot of people actually have been asking for Lapras in the comments. I do like Lapras. I do like Lapras, and it's another pretty big one. I don't know that number off the top of my head. I want to say a Lapras is like 10 feet or something, like another 8 to 10 range. Now, I do believe Ash Ketchum's Lapras specifically was extra small, so there's always that loophole if I want it. I'm gonna find us the exact number. Lapras. 2.5 meters. Found it the same time you did, which is an 8'2". It's I don't know how many Canadians we have in chat here, but I see a lot of jokes, and like hopefully you see them outside the country too. I don't know. About the kind of like flowchart you need to use to figure out what units to like communicate to a Canadian. Like the temperature outside is always going to be in Celsius. If you tell us in Fahrenheit, that means nothing to us. But if we're baking or getting in a pool, then you can use Fahrenheit. If we're talking about like distance to a place, we only talk really in time. Like distance somewhere, you tell us how long it takes to get there. But if you're talking like the height of a tree or something, like you'd probably say it in meters. But if you're talking about the height of a person, you usually always tell it in feet. All of this to say, I have a bit of my own, like, when it comes to Pokemon, I understand it best in centimeters up to about a meter. Maybe 2 meters. Like 1 to 2 meters, I'm good with talking in metric. And like if it's under a meter, it is definitely easiest for me to discuss it in centimeters. Beyond that, I don't, like, you gotta tell me how tall a Pokemon is in feet. If it's Lapras, you gotta tell me 8'2". That's actually easier than 2.5 meters. So yeah, that's just a little fun aside. A few people have been asking about the Gyarados. I think anything Serpent is possible. Milotic is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. She's just stunning. And I think Rayquaza's gonna happen one of these days. That one's actually for realsies. Make a crocheted Lapras seat. Like, you mean like a seat so that I could sit on the Lapras? Or like make the Lapras into a seat? Beanbag also works. Beanbag is always fine. Yes, okay, good. We've got some Canadian sympathizers and understanders in chat. Yes, it is wild to do measurements, Ozzy. I do love Lantern, and I gotta say, I've been getting such like an influx of comments. I don't know, Thomas, if it was you. Somebody asked me on Instagram to do a Lantern, and I'm considering it. I was always pretty fond of that line. Hello to Washington State Lotus. And hello, Amelia. I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited seeing this project come together. That's for sure. I'm excited to, yeah. I have so many people in chat now, like, doing the math and saying that they don't think I have enough yarn. And I'm getting actually more nervous about it. But I think I do have enough yarn. I think I do. So now I just need to finish what I need of the blue so I can show everybody that I was right all along. Toxapex would be a cool one. That would be pretty cool. I'm on kind of a quest to do all the baby Pokemon. So Toxel is on the list. That one's not as urgent, but I do want to have the full collection of baby Pokemon. Riolu would be a good next one. See, thank you, Thomas. Maybe I have too much yarn. I think that's possible. The thing I'm making right now is the Wailmer, Amelia. We're working on Wailmer. And yeah, not quite sure what the project after that's going to be, but there's some strong contenders, you know. We've got people asking for Raichus. I would love to make an Alolan Raichu. Aw, thank you. Aubrey, thank you. Glad you're here. Love to see some of what you make too. Lillipuff or Rockruff? Solid choices. Don't have many puppies in the collection yet. Mr. Mime is definitely on the terrifying side. I won't say no, but I don't think it's going to be... what I would really like is a Lickitung. I think Lickitung would be a very fun one to make. As long as his tongue is long enough. Togepi has been done. Yes, Togepi was one of the very earlier ones I made, in fact. It is not nearby to me at the moment, but I do have it downstairs, and I can show it off later. I'm making a post, just like a carousel of photos of some of the most requested, have you made this one yet? And I have. So I will, I can throw Togepi into that. Joel Tick goes in there too. Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure Toxel is a baby Pokemon, at least just like when I filter like Bulbapedia by them. And I don't know. They were being added as pre-evos for existing Pokemon. I think they just decided it was a baby. I think like technically the distinction is just that the evolved form of a baby Pokemon is still a basic. So I guess the question is Toxtricity a basic Pokemon? And where do they tell us what a Pokemon is basic or not? I don't know. You guys can figure that one out, and you can tell me. I have been live for about 2 hours now. I don't know. I might stay on for another half hour or so. See if we can maybe finish up this finger. I do have some folks coming over this evening, and gotta make some... Oh! Togepi has been delivered! Thank you, Captain Steel. There we go. Pat, pat. It's a little bit washed out on this camera. But that's my gal. Chunky egg. Yeah, I don't know if by chance anybody happened to be watching the Cupcake Decks live stream last night. She's a friend of mine. She does Pokemon themed baking. And she was talking about how she was going to be spending some time over at Katzer's place this weekend. So Cupcake Decks is coming over tonight. So I do need to bake some cookies before she arrives so that we have something to decorate when she arrives. But I got a little bit of time, so we'll hang out a bit longer. One thing they wish they brought was a level system like baby to basic or whatever. Yeah. You're getting a lot of love there, Togepi. I don't even know how to pick a favorite baby Pokemon. I think it might be Igglybuff. It might be Cleffa. That's definitely been skewed by Pokemon Stadium 2. Cemented those two as my top two. I played a lot of the mini games in that game, and I played a lot of the like the little counting mini game. Would I do the evolutions is an excellent question. Yeah. So okay, who wants to hear my evolution spiel? Oh, hang on. Okay, before I dive too deep into the evolutions, we have an entire list of babies. So, Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, Magby, Azurill. Oh, I always forget Badoo and Chingling. See, those are another ones that to me feel like, well, not just feel like, if they were the same generation, right? Those were kind of like Toxel, in that they were released, unless I'm crazy. Wait, is Roselia a Hoenn Pokemon? Gens 3 and 4 really blur in my brain. Because I know we got Roserade in 4. Chingling, Bonsly, Mime Jr., Happiny, Munchlax, Riolu. Oh, Mantike. I'm excited to do Mantike. I think Mantike's pretty big. 50 centimeters, I think. Smallest thing I've made is the Joltik. I am working on Sinistea. That'll be my next in the list of smallest. Gonna do like Flabébé is such a good one. I love that line of Pokemon, but it's a tricky one to make because it's so detailed and so small. I'll figure it out, but that's why I haven't done it yet. And Comfy would be another fun one to make. Got a shiny Nidoran female in Soul Silver. Oh my gosh! Togepi. That's so sweet. Oh, actually, yeah, I could show you. I have Joltik right here. Little hand sitter. In fact, there we go. Yep, so that's about, I believe I measured 10 centimeters this way. Like, tip to butt. Thank you, Amelia. I love it too. Very fond of Joltik now. It's really, it's quite something, the effect of, like, obviously you already have your favorite Pokemon to begin with, but then there's all sorts of factors that go into what I make next. And as soon as I've made it, it becomes one of my favorites. Kind of always. But yeah, Joltik. Galvantula would be a cool one to make. I think there's an interesting kind of series to be done with, like, the biggest evolutionary jumps. Galvantula is not the largest Pokemon by any stretch, but going from literally the smallest Pokemon, a 10 centimeter Pokemon, to I believe Galvantula is 3'7". It's a pretty big jump. I think it'd be cool to see them side by side. Okay, focus in. Evolutions. So, I have been long working on the long form video that I would most love to get uploaded to YouTube in the future. Hopefully the near future. is like a whole deep dive on the evolutions. And I have a conspiracy that I'm not sure. I think something funny happened in Gen 1. Gen 1 was a wild time. There weren't a lot of rules. There wasn't a lot of fact checking or like double checking work. Um, I think perhaps Jolteon and Flareon's heights were swapped at some point. That's my theory. So the evolutions, there's 3 size tiers of evolutions. Well, Eevee itself is smaller. It's 30 centimeters. And then we've got the 2'7" Eevees, which is Jolteon and Jolteon and Glaceon. Then we have 2'11" Eevees, which is Flareon and Espeon. And then we have 3'3" Eevees, which is Sylveon, Vaporeon, Umbreon, Leafeon. Is that true? I think that's true. Yeah. Now, I'm just gonna repeat that because not everybody is like oral listeners. So we'll start by focusing on just the Kanto 3. There are 3 different sizes of Eevees, and the order of size is Jolteon is the smallest, Flareon in the middle, Vaporeon's the biggest. Every time I see them depicted, Flareon appears shorter than Jolteon. Just like without fail. And it's in the games. It's in like promotional art. There was a wall of them at Pokemon Regionals when I went, and they were depicted that way. It's strange. It's just strange. So part of what I've been doing when I go on into the games and I'm trying to compare the Pokemon is I'm trying to figure out how they're measured, because there's a possibility that like Jolteon is measured to the tips of its ears, but Flareon is measured to the tip of the fluff on its head and not its ears, or like some kind of combination of these things. And I want to see if I can get to the bottom of it. And all of this, I guess, is to say, like, I could continue to go on a little bit. There's some interesting stuff going on about, like, the proportions of the Pokemon. They've all kind of been, like, shaped slightly different generation to generation. Like, Glaceon and Leafeon are just so, like, tall. They've got these really long necks compared to the other Pokemon. So, like, it's all interesting to see how they kind of end up lined up together and how those sizes look, even though they're the same size on paper. But I'm not sure, based on my own research, that I even agree with the size of the Pokemon Center life-size Eevees. I would love to see them in person someday and take some measurements. But I'm not sure I agree that they're entirely accurate to the games. So, yes, I think it would be great if I crocheted life-size evolutions once I have decided how they're measured. And I can make it like really accurate to my own belief system. Yeah, so that's the dream. I do have an Umbreon. It's not my finest work. You can find it. You don't have to scroll back very far. I made a little short a couple weeks ago showing off Pokemon that I am least proud of in my collection. And Umbreon was amongst them. So it's not terrible. It was just something I made really early on when I first started crocheting, which, Charlie, was about 3 years ago, I'm going to say. I started crocheting, like I learned to crochet in 2021. I started crocheting Pokemon in 2022. And I believe it was life-size Pokemon started around 2023. So yeah, I made that Umbreon in May of 2023. Which is pretty early on, as I say, at least in like my life-size journey and like getting familiar with the materials. So part of what happened with Umbreon is just that I was playing around with hook sizes, and I used a hook. I used the 10 millimeter. It was like brand new to me, and I was like, oh, let's see what it looks like when you use the 10 millimeter, because this is such a big Pokemon. And then it looked spaced out and gappy, and you can kind of see the fluff through the stitches. So, uh, yeah, Charlie. I started in COVID. It was like a lot of people, pick up a new hobby, keep busy kind of thing, and I really stuck with it. Really took to it. So, I think Umbreon would need to be remade, regardless. A lot of people really love Sylveon. I would be happy. So okay. Well, somebody Ender went and found the video of the Pokemon that I'm not proud of. um, yeah. So Sprigatito and Fuecoco are a story. Uh, basically, what happened was they were also very early. I made Litwick in October of 2022, and then I made Teddiursa, and I think Dratini came third. And then I thought, okay, so this is pretty cool. This whole situation of making life-size Pokemon is going well, and I'm enjoying it. What if we go a step further? What if I make plushies that are Pokedex size and weight accurate? And I tried. I tried. And that's what happened to Sprigatito and Fuecoco, is they are filled, like, weighed down to be what is it, like 11 pounds and 18 pounds respectively. And in addition to that, I was trying to get them ready to post about them for the launch of Scarlet Violet, which was a bit of a tight deadline after I'd already just made this massive Dratini. And so they both deserve redesigns as well. I mean, especially Fuecoco. It's got a tricky shape when you've only been crocheting big Pokemon for like 2 months. 1 month? Yeah, at that point. I could probably do it better now. I still don't have a good sense of how I would do it, but I would figure it out better. What about Deoxys? That actually... Oh, okay. You got it, Jasmine. I am not big on the tutorial thing. I do have a couple. I have some like simple tutorials on YouTube already. I will be honest, they are not better than any other tutorial that you could find. Like, you could probably find better ones if you just go to YouTube and look for crochet tutorials. There's some people out there who are really good at it. It's just like not my skill set. So I made a couple, and you are welcome to check them out. That'd be great. But I'm not, you know what? Crocheting is hard. And I don't know how to, like, I think it is hard. And I sympathize with anybody who struggles to learn it. And the reality is that it just came pretty naturally to me. It's just like one of those things that I kind of had an affinity for it, and it just clicked fast enough. But it means that I'm not the best teacher because I don't always know I don't know how to explain through the trickier things necessarily, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I love encouraging people to start, and like especially if somebody I know in person that I can like sit with wants to learn, I do like some of that sometimes, but it's just hard to teach. I don't know. Okay, Ender, first Pokemon ever crocheted was a little bitty Trapinch based off of that part, like Pokemon card. And I'm not sure where it ended up. It might be in that collection back there. Actually, no, I think it's downstairs in a different display shelf. And then yeah, the first life-size Pokemon I ever made was the Litwick. Yoski. Yes, I am still working on the big Pokemon. So this is going to be one of the fingers of the flipper. And actually, let me do a size comparison. This one is going to be a little bit smaller than these ones, so I might be just about done already. I think I should go for like 3 or 4 more rounds, and then we'll call this one done. One, two, three, 4. Yeah. Ooh, and then I'll be all out of things I can crochet without counting and paying attention. So maybe that's going to be the end of our stream. We'll do 4 more rounds, and then I'll get back to working on, like, focused working on it. Prepping some new pieces that we can work on stream again next week. Oh my gosh, 3 a.m. Where are you, Jasmine? Whereabouts in the world is it 3 a.m.? Because it is 4 p.m. where I am. No idea how to even tackle them. That's Eric's, you're asking. Okay. It's a tricky one. So, Eric's, do you crochet already? And if so, I feel like where you tackle them is you find a pattern of your favorite. And I think if anybody currently in chat is interested, if you have an Instagram account or Facebook, that's usually where I'm most active in my stories. And if you don't follow me there yet, I suggest you do if you are able. I know not everybody has all the accounts, it's fine. But I'm going to share maybe a few of my favorite other creators. Earlier in stream, I was chatting about I can't say her darn name, Mariamigurumi and Ghost Kitty are 2 of, like, my favorites. And they have a ton of patterns. They have tons of patterns. And you can definitely find free ones, but some of the ones they have are just, like, really big, nice ones. They would cost a couple bucks. And it's not a bad place to start if you're looking for, okay, so you already know how to crochet. Excellent. So if you're just looking to make a Pokemon, there's tons of good looking patterns out there. You could even make my Shinx if you wanted. So, like, it depends on your ambition level and your kind of comfort level. But yeah, my Shinx pattern is available for free currently in my coffee shop, which is, like, if you just follow the QR code in the corner down there, that QR code, or the link where it just says, like, coffee.com. If you go to the website, that's my page, there's a shop there, there's a free pattern for Shinx. And it's my life size. It's my only one at the moment that I've turned into a pattern. I think it's pretty good. I think it's not great. Like, it's been a couple of years since I wrote that, and I could definitely write a little better or include a little more detail this time, now that I've gotten a bit more familiar with crochet patterns and stuff. But I think it's good enough. You should be able to, like, get it done, you know? You could make something out of that pattern. A rainbow of crochet Pokemon pieces. Depends what you mean by that. I have, like, I lined up some of my Pokemon in the form of a rainbow around Pride, just to say Happy Pride. We've got this much more of a new flipper finger going on, Elite. And we're actually closing in on, like, our limit for today's stream. As soon as I finish this one, I have nothing left to work on today that I don't need to like think about. So if I'm going to be crocheting and chatting, I can't be counting. So yeah, we're coming up on the end of stream, unfortunately. Ooh, crochet a Hollow Knight. Now there's an idea. I had somebody recommend I crochet. So I have not played that game. I am familiar enough with it. Uh, I like it. I like it aesthetically and thematically. I just don't like it stylistically. Like for my style of gameplay, it does not suit me as a gamer. Um, so I haven't played it, but I like it. And I would be very open. I wanted to check if there were any official sizes for those characters. Not that I can't just make something whatever size I feel like, but I love making things size accurate. And as I recall, they're all kind of modeled off various bugs. So I feel like there's a chance there would be real sizes, or at least estimated sizes. That would make it very worth my time. Um, I'm doing good, Duck a Truck. Getting ready for take a bit of a break. Got to make some cookies for later tonight. I got a friend coming over, but we've been having fun here, and I've gotten some good work done. I have. Is it Evie you're asking about? Was it Jasmine? I've not done an Eevee just yet. One of these days. People love it too much. I'll have to make one, but not yet. That's part of the whole evolution conspiracy. I think I'm pretty confident on how tall an Eevee is, and I'm pretty sure its ears don't count towards its height. But some sources will disagree. Celine, you're crocheting a second Clodsire? What? How big? Like, your own pattern? A different pattern? Is it kind of like that Clodsire? Or is it giant? Sorsha? Hey, Sorsha. You watching? You VOD watching? Be happy to chat with you sometime. Let me see. Well, we've got our last couple rounds here. If there were any other questions that I was supposed to answer for people. There's a lot of, a lot of people that I think are asking things we've more or less covered. A couple questions asking for Lapras. Make Mawile. Make Quagsire. That one seems reasonable. I think I will make a Quagsire. I have done Mimikyu. The ball is going inside. Alright, I think we get a lot of repeat questions, but we might have a few new people here, so we're just going to go over some of maybe those basic things again. Like, let's see. Yes, there's going to be... Oh, I've done Minior. I've actually done 2 Minior. Because I had a whole thing... about Minior as well, trying to figure out if it's like the points count towards its height or not. And I think there's a few different sources on this too. I think I decided they don't. That's my personal belief system at the moment. So I have 2 different sized Miniors. But I don't have a shell on it. So it would be kind of fun to add a shell, maybe. I have not done Charizard. My partner, Captain Steel, would like me to. He's kind of angling for the Charizard because he wants me to make something that he can make breathe fire. So if that sounds cool, then you go and follow him, and you tell him that you support his dreams. And I don't know, tag him in a bunch of my videos saying we demand Charizard, and I'll probably do it. I can knit. I don't very often, but I did learn to knit before I ever learned how to crochet. Like back when I was just a wee child, my grandmother taught me how to knit. The yarn that I use, my favorite yarn is Bernat Blanket, and the variations thereof: Baby Blanket, Blanket Sparkle, Blanket Brights. There's a bunch of them, but that is my favorite. It's a size 5 bulky, and I typically use an 8mm hook with it. But I do shake that up a bit. Like sometimes you want just tighter, cleaner stitches, and I might go down to a 7 or a 6. Right now I've bumped up to a 9 just because of the sheer size of this beast. I figured I deserved a little bit of a handicap. You know, Ro, that's a really cool idea. I've definitely seen plenty of the, like, you reverse it and it's the evolved Pokemon, or you reverse it and it's a Pokeball, and that, like, they're really cool. They're fun designs. And I was recently trying to think of, what was I trying to make? I had an idea like that, like a what if I could reverse it and it was blank inside. And now I have no idea what that even was. But I like this concept, like a Ditto that there's ways to make them where they're even like 3 or 4 sided, I think. So like a Ditto that could change into a few different things, that'd be really nifty. But it would take some cognitive effort, that's for sure. I have done classic Pikachu. In fact, I have done Pikachu more than any other Pokemon. I have 3 Pikachus at the moment. I have an original one that I made way back when. I have slightly, like an extra large Pikachu that I made last year because Captain Steel wanted to put Tesla coils inside a Pikachu, so it needed to be a little bit bigger to accommodate some of the hardware. But essentially, like, I have a Pikachu that can, like, thundershock out of its cheeks. It's really cool. I'll probably be resharing some of that stuff this coming month, because that was like a Halloween project last year. But if you scroll back to last Halloween, you can find it. An idea where somebody makes the Zygarde cell and it turns into one of the Pokemon cards. Oh, sorry, nope. That was 2 different comments. Zygarde cell, and it turns into a form of Zygarde. That would be really cool. If I can find a way to like start combining stuff, I do like that one a lot. And a blanket that looks like the Pokemon cards. So I think I know what you're picturing, and I think I've seen things like it, and those are really cool. I have a slightly different idea. And I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. But yeah, it's basically a blanket, but I want to make a Pokemon card template that I can attach to like a wooden structure or something to like stand it up. And then there's sort of a box that I can put my Pokemon in to sit as like the artwork for that card. And then I can swap out different types maybe. And then start taking pictures of my creations as the art of a Pokemon card. It needs some fine tuning, but I have thought about this type of project before, and I think it could be pretty cool. Man, what was the idea that I had yesterday? It's gonna bug me that I can't remember. I was talking about something and it had to do with like, I don't know, was it like a Pokeball that I could flip inside out into a Dynamax ball or something? It had to do with like size. It's gonna bug me. I have played Pokemon Go. I used to play a lot. Haven't played in a bit. It's I played until they introduced the Dynamax raids. And I don't think there was any particular thing that turned me off of it. I was just kind of, my interest was waning, and I'd been playing less and less. And then, God, probably, knowing me, I think I just was like trying to film something to post it, and I didn't have enough storage space on my phone, and I had to delete something. So I think I just uninstalled Pokemon Go, temporarily. And then never really got back to it. Do one of the trainers, but like holding a Pokeball. What do you mean, do one of the trainers? Okay, we're finishing up here, folks. This is as much as I say I can do here today. 2.5 hours on the nose. Not bad. I have had such fun. This is great. I think we can, maybe we'll do this again next Friday. Maybe we'll do this again every Friday until Wailmer's done. Who knows? But there we go. That's our next little flipper fingy done. It is just a little bit smaller than the other one, because there is like a biggest one and then a smaller one and then two smaller ones. Everybody stretch. I don't know if anybody else was crocheting or if it was just me, but whatever you're doing, it's a good idea you can stop, do a little stretch, wiggle out your hands, maybe relax your shoulders, take a sip of water. We've all been sitting here for, well, not all of us. Not everybody's been here the full 2 hours, but like enough of us have been sitting. It's a good idea. Oh, crochet a trainer. Oh, that is fun. That would be fun. And maybe I've been thinking about crocheting a catser. Like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be cute. And I do have a trainer. Like, I have trainer art for catser that I designed, that I would like to cosplay. And maybe, yeah, crochet like a little stuffy of me. Is that too egotistical? Yes, Ro, I will be making sugar cookies. The plan is just something nice, quick, and simple that will cookie cut really well, because I think it's probably going to be like Animal Crossing characters that we're doing, because I happen to have those cookie cutters already. And, yeah, something nice and flat. Cool. Well, any last questions here in chat? I might answer a few more of these in my stories anyways. But yeah, this has been great. I am so glad people came to hang out. I really appreciate the company. I appreciate the enthusiasm. We'll see you next time. And yeah, stay tuned. If there's anything in particular that we, chit-chatted about that you really like the sound of, like, definitely you can leave comments, right? Like, this will be a VOD now, so you can leave comments telling me, like, which of the projects we talked about sounds coolest to you. Maybe I'll prioritize those. Yeah, subscribe to come on back next week. We're going to plug away at this yarn goal. And we're going to try and get partnered on YouTube. We'll see about that. That'd be cool too. Yeah. And then, stay tuned for updates, because I'm going to keep posting about this Wailmer the more I get done. We're going to have new stuff to look at starting tomorrow. I'm going to post something new, and yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Beep, for the well wishes of my cookies. I also hope they're delicious. I guess I ought to go make them so they have a bit of time to chill. And yeah, I'll see everybody again soon. Have a good one.